Most people put in a lot of effort at their jobs and bring in a paycheck. They often tighten their belts on things that they really want, aiming to save some cash. The dream is to have enough saved up to spend on things that they have been longing for. But unfortunately, many people, despite living below their means and saving, find that their money does not go as far as they had hoped. They realize they will need to keep working to make ends meet. So why does this happen? Well, they saved alright, but the missing link was investing. In this video, we'll dig into data to show why simply saving money won't give you the financial freedom unless you invest it wisely. My name is Kanak and welcome back to my channel. Your support is what keeps this channel running, and if you find this video helpful, then show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel. Let's first talk about something important: inflation. Inflation is like a silent tax that slowly eats away your money. Here's the scenario. If you have $100,000 in cash today, with a 2% inflation rate, it will only be worth $50,000 in 25 years. So the key to investing is to beat inflation by as much as you can. The higher your returns compared to inflation, the more your money's purchasing power grows. Now let me explain purchasing power using a very simple example. Imagine you save $10 today, and with that, you can buy a bag of rice. If you stash that $10 in your wallet for the next 10 years, it won't be enough to cover for the entire cost of that bag of rice because inflation will erode its value. On the other hand, if you invest that $10 and turn it into $20 in 10 years, you can now afford more than one bag of rice. So the main goal of investing is to outpace inflation and increase your money's purchasing power over time. Now let's break down the power of investing with a straightforward example. Imagine two guys, James and George, both pulling in an annual salary of $50,000. Let us assume they get the same salary for the next 30 years. Now James is a great saver and saves $1,000 each month. Meanwhile, George is saving only $500 a month. But here's the twist. James parks his $1,000 in a high-yield savings account with 4% return, while George throws his $500 into the S&P 500 with its average 10% long-term returns. Now, because inflation is about 2%, the real returns for James will drop from 4% to 2%, whereas for George, it will drop from 10% to 8%. Real returns represent the actual increase in the purchasing power of your money, and we get real returns by subtracting inflation rate from actual returns. So fast forward 30 years and James' $1,000 monthly savings turns into $492,000 at a 2% real return rate. Now George, with only $500 a month but an 8% real returns, watches his money grow to a whooping $745,000. George ends up with nearly $250,000 more than James, even though he saved only half of what James did each month. Why? George was smart about investing in the stock market, while James was merely saving cash. So, it is crucial to invest your money instead of letting it erode in your savings account. Now let's tackle the big question. Where should you put your money? Think of it like this. There are 5 main asset classes, and they each have their own long-term returns. The 5 asset classes are stocks, real estate, commodities, bonds, and the plain old cash. When it comes to returns, stocks have the highest long-term returns. Real estate has the second highest long-term returns after excluding all the costs. The third on the list would be commodities, the fourth would be bonds, and finally cash. Each of these investment classes has its good and bad, but sitting on a pile of cash is a one-way ticket to losing out on all of your savings over time. The key is to pick investments that give you returns higher than inflation while managing your risks. That's how you build up lasting wealth for that financial freedom down the road.